What is up, everybody? It is Alex from Heavy New York. We are back at Aftershock Festival 2022. This time we got Tommy Victor of Prong.
Hey, man. How you doing?
Doing great, man. Thank you so much for being here. It's
No
great
problem.
to have you here.
No problem.
So, now that 0 Days is hitting the 5-year-old mark, fantastic full-length album. You've been killing it ever since. I know you also got the recent EP, but can we be expecting some new Prong full-length music
Absolutely. I mean, I could tell you the single will be out, the digital single, in January, because the record's almost done. So, like, for our European tour with Life of Agony in January, the single will be out. And the record, I guess April or something. It depends when the pressing plant can do it. It's on Steamhammer, SBV again, same label. So, yeah, new record, new full-length Prong record. All the basic tracks are done. I just got to do vocals and solos now.
Fair enough. And I look forward to hearing all of it. Have you always taken a new approach to every single album that you've done?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
It's, always.
Yeah, so do you ever go into it with like a preconceived idea of what you want it to be like?
Well, this one is special because it's the first record I've written since I've moved back to New York and Amityville. So that concept is there where it's like, you know what? This is like where the early Prong stuff was written. And, I wrote it in my apartment in Amityville, and it's killer. So that's the concept, is that it's been written back where I'm from. So
You've got
I
some
think this
hardcore blood.
It's very hardcore. It's really heavy. But Prong has to have the hook, so it's still in there too. Like, there's a lot of the good choruses and understandable lyrics.
I think there's a lot to celebrate in the Prong camp. One record I want to talk about in particular, because this year marks 10 years of it, is Carved into Stone.
Steve Evans produces the new one who produced that record, too.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah.
So that's awesome. That was actually the first Prong record that I discovered. I was kind of a late bloomer. Just what was the sort of mindset going into the making of that album as opposed to later?
That's a good question, and I can answer that. I felt that I wasn't vocally coached on the early records. Like, Terry Day was a great producer, but more of an engineer. And I was just thrown in as a vocalist with Prong. Like, I never had training or anybody to coach me or guide me. So I was like, I need to find a producer that can help me with the vocals. So that was Evans. I mean, he's done work with the Wonder Years and the Cure and the countless bands over the years. So he helped me. It was like he drilled the hell out of me. Like, no, open your mouth this way, blah, blah, blah. So that was the first record where I felt that I was more complete as a vocalist, and that was the main concern on that record.
Yeah, I could definitely tell that there was like an evolution. Like, I never considered a Prong album to be a continuation of the previous album. It's just a continuation of evolution.
Yeah. If there is a actually there isn't, because even 0 Days is different than No Absolutes, and No Absolutes I felt is a bit different than Ruining Lives, and Ruining Lives was different than Carved into Stone. I'm just going backwards. So, yeah, I mean, it has a lot to do with how, where, when the songs were written, and the climate of that is definitely influential upon. Well, there's never been a formula, and that's why this other gentleman's going, Prong never gets to play a lot of the festivals in America. We're never asked, because it's like, who is Prong? What do they do? What kind of music is it? It's not really radio music, whatever, it does. So it's been difficult to pigeonhole that. So,
well, I think that's your advantage, though. That
maybe.
You like, when people say, I don't describe Prong in any other way other than Prong.
Yeah.
So that's how I would describe it.
Yeah, I mean, I take for different things. So it's like the New York hardcore element is there, and then the Sabbath element is there, and the Zeppelin element is there, and then industrial music, and et cetera. So it's like I had a really good period where I was picking up the guitar a lot. I was like, wow, that's a good riff. I'm going to tape that, then relook at it, and go, that one's cool. So then, it eventually turns into a song,
Definitely,
Yeah.
definitely. When it comes to getting that inspiration, that artistic sort of drive to create something new, do you almost have to look for inspiration, or does it strike when you least expect it?
Not on this time. Like, I've been periods where I was frustrated, but this time I wasn't. I mean, Jesus, what's been going on in the world is enough. So that's a big one. And then I had, like, there's all like personal stuff. Like, a lot of great things in my life going on, so that keeps me energized, and you know that. So I have a positive attitude about it, which is, you know, like there's a record we did, Rude Awakening, where I was very negative, and it comes through on the lyrics. Like, you know, these are angry lyrics, but I think essentially it's going to be entertaining because, you know, I'm in a good place, you know. So
definitely. You know, now that I've seen Prong a handful of times, you know, there's always such a different energy and experience seeing you live versus listening to the album as well. But is there at all anything that ties those arts together? Is there any similarity between playing live and songwriting?
Ooh. I was thinking about that going on stage today. I'm like, you know, this is so weird. Like, we're so stripped down. It's a bass guitar, and drums. It's so basic. And, like, we have these records that are more elaborate. On the other hand, we put out this bootleg. It's our own bootleg called Unleashed in the West, and it has the live versions of songs from Cleansing, Prove You Wrong, and Rude Awakening, which is sort of an overproduced record. And I think that the live versions are better.
Well, you know what I loved about Prong is, because, you know, I've not only like seen you play with a variety of different bands, but different venues too. Like, I saw you at a festival today, but, you know, I've seen you play like small venues like Brooklyn Bazaar. What I love about Prong is there's still an underground charm to it.
It is. It's totally underground. It really is. I mean, we just did a couple of local shows. We did Debonair out in Teaneck, and then we did this place 89 North in Patchogue, Long Island, just before we came over here. And it was really cool because it was those small clubs, and I love playing that. You know, even if it's like 100, 150 people, I love that. You know, this was like, okay, well, there's a lot more people here, but eventually we got comfortable and we were able to pull it off. So, you know, it's tough, but adapting, but especially as a trio, it's tough.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, we are definitely an underground band. There's no escaping that.
To me, there was only one other band that is able to achieve that, where like your name is known, but you still have an underground. It's you and Voivod. Those are the only.
Yeah,
two.
there's a very good similarities. Yeah.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Definitely. And the final question I wanted to ask you is kind of like two questions in one, but being the front of house sound guy at CBGB's, first off, I know you have stories up the walls.
Oh, yeah, I mean,
you're like
craziness.
the hidden camera of that place. But first question, we'll do the nice question before the violent pit questions, because I'd imagine knowing how to get the good sound for different bands may have had to help you on a technical level.
Yeah.
But did that also inspire
Yes.
maybe what you would write and put pen to paper in Prong?
Totally, yeah. I mean, especially during the whole crossover period that Prong came out with, you know, the Crumbsuckers, Ludachrist, you know, a little bit before that, Corrosion, and then you had like, you know, thrash bands like Whiplash coming through there. So Leeway, another big crossover band. So we sort of went on the tails of those bands and brought something else into that. But and you know, I was mixing those bands too at CB, so it was like, you know, I knew what we were looking at, you know, so it was good. It was a good experience, and I knew what not to do. So yeah, I mean, I learned. If I didn't work at CB's, there would be no Prong. I mean, we totally came out of that club.
Definitely.
And the hardcore matinees and the weekday shows where you'd have bands like no one knows about anymore called Blind Idiot God and Radat Radar, more noise industrial bands that were playing during the week. And we took from them too, you know.
Well, I could see, because, you know, there's obviously you have an industrial background with the Ministry, but like, I think like that's the thing. You were able to just take.
It took a lot.
You behind the sound booth, you're mixing the bands, but you're also taking notes.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, especially when you're young too, your brain is a sponge, and your musicality is a sponge, and you know, sometimes think, oh, what is that? Oh, well, you know, you could trace that to. Where did I come up with? Where did I listen to that? Well, that's like a Young Gods type riff or something, you know. It's like, you know, you sort of figure out where it came from.
Yeah. And finally, what was the most violent band you've ever had to do sound for? Where did you see the most violent pit?
I was definitely Agnostic Front. Those shows were just absolute pandemonium. Like, it was just the place was oversold, and it was just like those shows were very crazy.
I can imagine.
Yeah.
I've been unfortunate enough to be at an Agnostic Front show wearing a bullet for my Valentine. Thank you to Lord Ezak for saving my ass. On that one. But is there just anything else that you would like to promote with the new record coming out in 2023? I'd imagine we'll be seeing you a lot on the road next year, right?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know about road as much as hopefully like selective appearances. I want to play like the East. I would like to do like sort of weekend warrior East Coast things, you know. So like do DC and you know Philly and like those that like we used to, you know. Just get in a van and go down there, that kind of vibe.
Hell yeah, that'll be awesome.
Going across country right now is gonna like not. I probably wind up doing it, but it's not. If we get offered a good tour, like we were out with like Black Label Society, we did 2 months with them, and that was a great tour. I mean, that's the thing about Prong too. We could go out with heavy-duty guitar-oriented bands, and you know, I get that respect, you know, like so where we could do those type of shows. So
hell yeah, it'll be an awesome
straight ahead guitar metal. It's still Prong as well, you know?
Definitely.
Yeah.
100%. All is Prong.
Yeah.
But thank you so much,
Thank you,
everybody.
man.
We are here with Tommy Victor of Prong. New stuff coming very soon. Aftershock 2022. See you next time on Heavy New York.
Thank you.